Let's totally disregard everything that liberals and Democrats have been saying about Elon Musk and Doge and federal spending cuts and all that. And let's see what this Republican has to say.
Last night, I could barely sleep because I had read report after report after report, and the math was devastating. If you add it all up, by 2035, you have over $74 trillion in debt. That 40,000 federal employees leaving is a single day of borrowing. Yet I watched someone on television last night saying, well, look, we're going to make a huge dent in the U.S. deficit with these 40,000 taking early retirement. It's one day of borrowing. Okay, so someone yesterday said, okay, let's get rid of the federal subsidy on tax-exempt bonds for stadiums. Okay, great. We calculate that's about 6 or 7 seconds of borrowing for a year. Really popular ones, Department of Education salaries. So if you get rid of the Department of Education salaries, and I think this is all of them, is about $2.75 billion for 9 hours of borrowing. Had this the other day. Let's get rid of healthcare for those who are here illegally. This is the emergency services for undocumented. So we calculate that to be about $2.1 billion a year. This is the emergency healthcare on undocumented. Okay, got you another 9 hours. So let's actually go to something a little bigger. Let's get rid of the foreign aid. Okay, foreign aid's gone. You got yourself a week. How many times of those of us on the right, I've been in a debate with another Republican, if we just didn't have foreign aid, we'd be fine. Okay. Now, you got to deal with the reality, what that does to our military, our footprint in the world, protecting the reserve currency. Why are we the reserve currency? Because we have a footprint, we protect the trade routes, but look, you should know that from your history. But you just wiped it out. You just covered a week of borrowing. The famous pie chart. Everything a member of Congress votes on is borrowed money. Every dime of defense is borrowed money. Every dime of non-defense discretionary is borrowed money. I think last fiscal year, $400 billion of earned benefits.
Now pay attention to what he says right here.
So let's actually now have the other thing where I'm going to start to really make a couple of my brothers and sisters annoyed around here. United States, according to the Census Bureau from last month, will have more deaths than births in 8 years. Not a single country in the world, and this is not just the United States, it's basically all the industrialized countries, and much of the world is way ahead of us in this almost dystopian collapse of there being young people. The other stupidity we engage in this country is we educate people in our fine universities and we send them home to compete with us. Wall Street Journal today actually has an article on drug discovery and drug research and how fast China is basically competing with us now in new biologics and those things. And the basic premise is that we educated the very people that are competing with us because we sent them home because we're idiots. And yet I will get folks who will now, right now, pounding out texts saying, but I don't want foreigners in there. Do you want us to be able to pay your Medicare bills? Turns out, as an economist, you can't hit the number without a talent-based, STEM-based immigration system. You just can't. Because here's your problem. We built the models. So we're going to extend expensing for research and development. So we're doing things better, faster, cheaper. What happens when the very companies that are doing that, the research labs that are doing it, continue to show up in my office and say, we can't get enough people. We're being squeezed. We're going to have to do part of the research on the other side of the world. Have we lost our minds? Oh, but David, you can't tell that. That will upset someone. Because, and this chart I know is almost impossible to read. Its punchline is very simple. Unless we have this productivity spike, we're going to get poorer.
Well, it sounds like this has more to do with our immigration policies. That and our population, our declining population issue. But I mean, you know, what the hell are they going to do? Force girls to have more babies?
Welcome to Let It Be Known
Good morning.
News. Good morning. I see those glasses. It's another glasses I like. Look at you. Just styling and profiling, as Clyde
You
Frazier
got
would
to
say.
coordinate.
Yeah. Well, see, my shirt kind of matches the hair a little bit, your hair. So there's our coordination.
There we go.
Listen, we got a pretty big show on tap this morning. Lots of information. Michael Blake is going to join us, and he's running for mayor of New York City, by the way.
Mhm.
And of course, our White House correspondent and senior White House correspondent and bureau chief, Washington bureau chief April Ryan is going to join us as well. Somebody wrote, Neil, on that video that we were just watching, that this guy gets an F because he turned it in late. He should have turned it in prior to November 5th. That report he just did.
They gonna learn. They gonna learn. That's all I can say is they gonna learn.
But the part, of course, you see that I mean, all of that is I mean, it was well done. But the part, as the guy in the truck said, pay attention to this part. The more deaths than births part,
Mhm.
that and Barack Obama is why we are where we are today. Because
Right.
the fear of, as Chuck D and Public Enemy say, the fear of a black planet, and in this case, the fear of a black America, or at least browning of America, has driven white supremacists to take over this country, and now we have a dictator.
Yeah. And he's smarter this time around, and that's about the only compliment that I could give Donald Trump, is that first administration, he was just in there. But this time around, he has the Project 2025 crew. He has technology. He thought about it and he put some people around him, which a good leader does, that are smarter than him, that they're reminiscent of white supremacy. So it's worse than the first administration could ever be, because they are not playing. What is this, week 3?
It feels like it's been like 3 years.
Oh my gosh. Yeah,
Yeah, 3
it's
weeks.
sad. And
It is.
he also brought up in that video about the USAID, the
Yep.
foreign, help that we do. So yesterday it comes out that the White House fired the inspector general
The inspector general.
because of a report that he put out talking about the seriousness and the detriment of what the administration is doing with that organization. And so, I mean, anytime you speak out against this man, whether it's media, whether it's the DOJ, whether it's the FDA, the CDC, there are repercussions.
There are major repercussions. In fact, the presidential envoy for special missions accused, and this is, Richard Grinnell, he accused the Voice of America's White House bureau chief, Steve Herman, of acting in a, quote, treasonous way for posting a quote that is critical of the Trump administration, while reporting on recent lawsuits being filed against the administration following the shutdown of USAID. So they're talking about treason now on a reporter, a journalist. And Neil, they also, and you pointed this out earlier before the show started, they got rid of Politico and the New York Times and NPR
Right.
from the State Department. And yesterday we learned that AP is now barred from the Oval Office.
Insane, insane. But what's scary is the replacement in the Pentagon. You have Bart Bright, the New York Post. Huffington Post, I'm not sure what that play was, but we know that Bart Bright was established by nationalist Steve Bannon
Bannon.
and Stephen Miller, who has never left Trump's side since the first administration. And
Yep.
they're a part of the Proud Boys, white nationalists, KKK, and that's who you decide to put in the Pentagon? Are you kidding me?
Well, so it makes me wonder, and I was going to say this yesterday too. Was you saying that they're being very, very forward now? It's no more dog whistles or anything like that. At what point do we expect them to just outwardly start using terminology like the N word, the F word, the B slurs and stuff like that? At what point? It's definitely going to happen because they are so outward with it now.
Right, right.
So
Oh,
so we can really start because they don't care about what you think anymore.
no. Mm-mm. No, and they're showing you that there are repercussions if you go
I think
against
did
their
you freeze
agenda
on
or
me?
their grain.
Did you freeze on me or did I freeze on you? Which one is it? But they really, yeah, they really don't care. They don't care anymore, and that's uh, they're not following laws, not following judges' decisions,
No.
and
Mm-mm.
they're doing what they want.
And what always
So
scares me about this
there we
administration,
are. Greer says you are freezing. Is that?
that's you. You're freezing. But you're better now. But that's the thing that scares me about this
Okay.
administration
Maybe
the
it's the
most.
weather. Okay.
The thing that scares me about this administration the most is what we don't know. What Project 2025 is doing, what Elon Musk is doing in the buildings of the Treasury Department, the Education Department, all of these buildings that they are infiltrating every day. They're in there busy as bees. And we have no idea what they're doing. And they're locking Congress out of the process. And
Yeah, I
so
was gonna
they
say
keep
Congress don't
saying,
even know what they're doing.
yeah, we are in, if you don't know, we are in a constitutional crisis. Okay. Democracy is almost gone. Somebody ring the alarm. As Beyonce says, ring the alarm.
Oh gosh, you had to throw in the Beyonce. Did you get your tickets yesterday?
So we got thrown out 4 times. So we're still on a ticket mission. My sister got her tickets and she wouldn't even tell me how much she paid for hers because she's taking my niece. And so you can only buy 4 tickets at a time. And so she got her 4. And so I'm still on the hunt for mine.
I'm sure you will succeed.
Yeah,
You'll get
I'm gonna find me a ticket. I will. I'm confident.
okay. Um, Eric Adams, his situation with the U.S. Justice Department, it's another thing. Beforehand we were talking about it's a lot of different things you and I and Greer were talking about, including 50 Cent and Diddy. But I bring that up only to say that um, this, to me, the Eric Adams situation not only reinforces what we already know about the Trump administration, but it it gives somebody like Diddy even more hope that his situation is not hopeless, right? Because
Right.
this is all about who's going to bow to Trump, who's going to kiss the ring, and who the few people in the world he likes, because he doesn't like anybody.
Right. Right.
Wait, let me rephrase that. Few people who he believes can do something for him, because he
Right.
don't like
Right.
anybody.
Well, the good part about justice is the state or Manhattan can still file charges against the mayor Eric Adams, and so we have to see what Alvin Braggs is going to do about that. But I found this interesting because remember Trump paused enforcement orders on review for for the Foreign Corruption Act, right? He paused that,
Right.
but let's not forget that Eric Adams, the allegations were for flight upgrades and airline tickets, collected contributions from wealthy foreigners who are not legally allowed to contribute to campaigns. So this is all relative, okay?
Yep.
Foreign affairs, Eric Adams gets a pass. And so this is just once again, the Trump train is on the move, and these are different ways to help him further along his agenda and pick up allies.
Yeah, and Mike V says folks haven't accepted the fact that this is a hostile takeover of government. And Empress says that they are stealing our money. And uh, a um, a viewer with the, I guess it's an acronym, CDAG, says that they agree they are stealing our money and getting confidential information on American citizens. The lack of courage the Republicans are demonstrating is shameful.
Mm.
You know, the lack of courage throughout. I think people have now, since over the past 3 weeks, have learned a lot about their politicians, their elected officials on both
Right.
sides of the aisle,
Mm-hmm.
because we do see the only fight we see that's left in anybody seems to be in Jasmine Crockett. We talk about Jasmine Crockett and AOC all the time, and
Right.
there may be a couple of others, but they stand out. But everyone else, even, I mean, on both sides, I'm not just talking about Democrats, but on both sides, there is no fight. We saw that video Greer posted before, as the show was coming on,
Mm-hmm.
and you hear this guy, and I forget who that individual was. I think he's a state senator. But as
Mm-hmm.
and I agree with Orange G. While we were watching that, he says this guy is doing all of that talking, but he will vote for whatever Trump and Elon tells him to vote for. Chip Roy is another one who talks loud and falls in line, and that's the point. Um, these guys, they may disagree, because a lot of these Republicans, if you go back, and it's not hard to do, it's not hard
Right.
to look at their record. It's not hard to look at old interviews that they've done, recent interviews that they've done before Trump won, and find that they are opposed to all of this, but yet they fell in line.
Right. Because power is is, for lack of better words, a powerful drug. And once you get that power, you don't want to let it go. But we were talking about Mayor Eric Adams, and I think right now is a great time to bring in our first guest, who is a former assembly member of New York. He's running for mayor. Welcome, Michael Blake.
Great to
Hey,
see you.
Michael.
Good morning.
Michael Blake, an important question though, before Neil gets into it. Very important question. Were you at the Garden the other night?
I'm at the Garden pretty regular. Depends on which night we're talking
The
about.
Celtics game.
I missed the Celtics game.
Okay, because I thought I saw you. That's the only reason I asked, because I thought for sure I saw you.
I missed that beat down that happened, but our Knicks are still in third in the Eastern Conference, so we're doing all right now.
We're doing okay. Okay. Yeah, because last night was a nice win. But let's get to some real stuff. Go ahead, Neil.
No, that's still real.
take the
That's
lead
still
on
real. Knicks business.
that
is
is,
real out there.
yeah. I got you.
So we were talking about Mayor Eric Adams, Michael, and you did a tweet that said we have a Black MAGA Mayor, time for change. Talk about your thoughts on the DOJ calling and asking for the dismissal of this case against Mayor Eric Adams.
Vice President Eric Adams
I love it.
a compromised asset to Trump and Elon. Period, point blank. The man has no business in elected office. Let's make sure we all internalize the charges were not just because of some flight upgrades. That's the frivolousness that he tries to make it seem. It was wire fraud, bribery, corruption for a straw donation, illegal campaign. That's why he was indicted, right? Where Eric Adams himself wrote, delete the text messages. There's nobody that knows about what they're doing and saying it's not wrong if you tell someone not to delete the text messages. And so bringing it back now, the memo says very clearly they want the charges to be dropped so that he could pursue deporting people around illegal immigration and addressing crime. And at any point, they could bring charges back, which the charges have not been dropped as of yet. So let's be real clear. The man is compromised. If he has to buckle at the knee of Trump and Elon, it's not just around immigration, not just around crime. It's on anything that they would want for him to do. And that's not someone who can be mayor. And one of the main reasons why I'm running is that we deserve better. We deserve a lot of change. And the last 48, 72 hours, it proves the point of why I'm running. I'm the only one who has White House experience under a good and real president, and President Obama, state house experience and local experience. And as Black folk, it is unacceptable that there is a Black man that is literally kissing up to the man who disrespected us, who called for the Central Park Five to be killed, death penalty, disrespected Obama over and over again. So at the end of the day, we just got to call it what it is. He's a compromised asset who only cares about Trump and staying out of jail.
And it sounds like you're saying he's a compromised asset is probably being polite, right? I'm taking it that you're being polite.
I mean, I am still a reverend, but I'm just saying, right? Like, it's just, I mean, what was Samuel L. Jackson on Sunday night?
Uncle Sam, Uncle Tom.
Okay. I'm glad we said it right there.
There we go.
You mentioned the experience, and which I think should mean a lot when it comes to being a mayor, being a president, for sure. But as we see, we had a very experienced vice president run for president. We had a very experienced former Secretary of State run for president. It's the experience is not necessarily the game changer anymore. Is that a problem?
100%. But we have to get better about communicating. Y'all were just talking about this right now about folks fighting, right? And so at the end of the day, you have a lot of people who felt and feel that somehow this absolute fraud and Donald Trump is better for them when it comes to the economy, is better for them in terms of their quality of living than the vice president and the secretary were. And obviously that was not the case. And we're seeing it very clearly right now. He was talking about cost of living, but yet folks out here trying to figure out how to get some eggs right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so at the end of the day, this is when you have to make sure that we're not being seen as an elitist party. Right. And that people feel like you're completely disconnected. And that's why I always remind people, my family's from Jamaica. I was one of two that was born here. I was at public schools K through 12 before going to Northwestern, before working for Obama, but I came back home to the block. Right. I mean, even in this interview, I got on my Kairos hoodie, right? Like you got to make sure people still understand who you are. Right. Because if you have that kind of level of connection, then you're able to build and do something, make it happen. Right. And so, look, I think at the end of the day, people want to understand, how are you helping me with the true cost of living? I talk about that and saying that we need guaranteed income. We need universal child care. We need to eliminate credit scores being used for rent and home ownership. People understand like affordable housing. Right? You have to make sure you build more housing that's Mitchell-Lama housing that's focused on middle class, right? Because you either got to be real rich or slightly poor enough, which is wrong. Right? And then like, what are you doing to help me with my kids? What are you doing around safety? What are you doing on the block? Right. And so like I say, like, look, having police be able to have more active street patrol with body cameras on so people are held accountable. But at the same time, cops aren't trained to do mental health concerns. So actually have people that work on mental health to do that. Right. And if you talk to people in that way, right, if you talk about how I think kids should have civics, financial literacy, and mental health before they graduate, then people are like, okay, you're connected to me, right? And you're making it real. You're making it very real right now. And so at the end of the day, it has to be with that level of connection. When people are scared of like, how am I going to pay my bills? How am I going to help my family? You all are talking about these theoretical things, and Trump is saying a few quick tweets. A tweet is not actually helping you pay your bills.
Right.
No.
So you talked about the party at large. The DNC just elected new leadership. What are your thoughts on the new leadership, and do you think that this new team can help address all those issues that you just talked about?
They can, and they have to, right? We have to be the entity that people see as a clear alternative. And you need to have an opposition party energy. You have to have a war room energy. Like that has to get rolling and get going. But there's also the infrastructure of the DNC that has to be there too, right? I always compare it to a team can win a lot of championships, and most people will have no idea who the general manager is, right? So if the DNC is doing what it needs to be doing, then people are being trained around the country. People are being mobilized. You're actually getting message out consistently. You have surrogates that are being deployed. That is what we're able to do in a very consistent manner. But then it's about the broader ecosystem, right? You know, how do you support causes? National Democratic Training Committee, which is literally training Dems all across the country, or Collective, thinking about Latino Victory Fund. Like there's different entities that are out here that have to be supported. But look, at the end of the day, yes, you have to fight back, but you have to give people an alternative, right? And I think fundamentally what we have done wrong 2 out of 3 times is that we only talked about Trump being bad, but we didn't tell them what we would do.
Right.
And that has to be the element for us, right? Like, hey, he's out here talking about birthright citizenship. And let's be clear, it's unconstitutional what he's saying, but don't miss out on the point when he's talking about Medicaid freezes, right? This cat is the reason why you're wondering if this bill's about to happen and get paid. Oh, okay, now I got that. And so I think at the end of the day, we have to also think through like houses like a Schoolhouse Rock 2.0, right? You got to connect civics from a DNC perspective so that the voter then understands there is a difference between us and them. And this is why we are better. David Axelrod always said that you have to explain choice and contrast. And that's what our DNC has to do right now.
Right. Because I feel like sometimes that as a DNC, people in politics work in a bubble. And so even with this last election and us picking new leadership, the general public, Democrats didn't even know that this was happening. And I think that right there was a huge miss because we didn't even know the new leadership was chosen. And so talking about everything that you're talking about, it seems like the Democratic Party still is not connecting with its base because they're just continue to operate in a bubble. How can we fix that?
Yeah, it's very, very insular, very insular of the process. But we have to find ways, which look, a lot of things are insular, right? Like I'm an alpha, I'm Prince Hall Mason, I'm 100 Black Man. Like all of us have organizations that we're a part of where there's elections that are internal itself, right? So I'm not necessarily casting shade on that. But I would say is we have a moment right now where people are freaking out and people are exhausted and people are frustrated, right? And so you got to give someone hope again, right? I'm not just saying this from an Obama perspective. You got to give them that vibe right there. I'm looking above my head because this is just a perfect example, right? Like you got to have like Black excellence, right? Like on one side, just thinking about that. You got Dick Gregory, who would always speak truth to power. And of course, you got Martin, Obama, and Malcolm, right? And so to that degree, we as Democratic leaders have to make sure that our people actually feel we are fighting for them consistently, not just occasionally, and then giving a call to action.
Right.
So and you got to be able to call people out when they act a fool, right? So like with Eric Adams, I'm like, look, this is just wrong on every possible level. And I do think that Attorney Tish James, AG Tish James, or our District Attorney Alvin Bragg should still indict him and pursue local charges. Because we have to be willing to also say when something's wrong in our house, because that's how you get credibility there. Right. So there is the moment that exists right now. You have a fascist dictator who's acting a fool. And people are seeing that. Like, but now it's like, okay, this is what he's doing, but now what for us? And so on our side, whether it be running for mayor of New York City, like I'm doing, whether it be national programs like the Kairos Democracy Project, which is the alternative and storytelling, right? Give people something positive to mobilize around, and then we can feel better during this Black History Month.
Yeah, we have a question from Mike V, one of our loyal viewers. He says Black and brown people make up 1/3 of New York City voter base, but are less than 3% of the tech startups there. What is your strategy to create equity for access to capital for launching startups?
Well, first, elect a mayor who's running small businesses right now, right? So I understand the responsibility of access to capital. I led the urban entrepreneurship program. Look at that handsome Jamaican man right there. I appreciate that, folks. Right. Have someone who actually has done the work. I led the Urban Entrepreneurship Summit series at the White House. I led the Minority Business Program within the White House. A heavy focus around STEM. Shout out to the National GEM Consortium, which is a best practice I think has to be amplified here with Brendan Marcano, which focuses on Black and Latino masters and PhDs in STEM. If we do this, not only could you expand out more direct capital to our entrepreneurs, in particular those that are in tech, but you have to create a better ecosystem for entrepreneurs, right? And so that means, how are you reducing the cost of living, the true cost of living? How are you actually having affordable housing for our entrepreneurs? And which I go back to, like, building this next generation of Mitch Lama 2.0, which is effectively middle class, working class housing, right? And then how do you free up direct grants and direct capital for them, right? If you do all of these things, you create a better chance. But also, to the question, we got to give people more exposure, right? So consistently featuring, amplifying, promoting Black excellence in these spaces, because then someone else in the private sector, someone else in the marketplace, someone else will see them and say, you know what? That's something we have to amplify. We would do that all the time. We would always find ways to amplify a local entrepreneur. And like that 30 seconds, 2 minutes, 3 minutes could change their lives, right? So yes, you got to have access to capital. Yes, you got to have access to the contract, but it's also about having access to the connection.
I want to, before I turn it back to you, Neil, and I know that Michael's going to have to run soon, but Nancy Wall writes in that New York needs Michael, not Andrew Cuomo again. We keep hearing about these polls with Andrew being so far ahead, but one of the things I'm reminded of as a New Yorker is the Cuomos may be extremely popular statewide, but seems like they struggle in New York. Mario struggled big time in New York City. He couldn't win the mayoral election in New York City. He won the governorship, but he couldn't win the mayor's race in New York City. What's your thoughts on Andrew, and how do you beat an opponent that has such popularity?
Well, first, I need y'all to connect me with the sister who says that it needs to be Michael as mayor. So let's make sure we connect to it. I'll start by reminding people, like, initial polls are focused on name recognition. And so, of course, a 3-term governor, presuming he jumps in, will have the highest name recognition of anyone in the field. However, let's also remind people, there was a point when, was there a Mayor Anthony Weiner or a Mayor Andrew Young? Yeah, no, that didn't happen. They started with a lot of name recognition themselves, but then the truth comes out. And we have to remind people, this man resigned because of the multitude of women who were very clear around sexual assault and inappropriate behavior, as well as the New York Times repeated stories and the bipartisan congressional delegation around nursing homes and the amount of seniors who died in nursing homes during COVID, where Andrew Cuomo pretty much pushed them in. So look, at the end of the day, you have a choice. It's time for a new generation of leadership. It's time for a young Black man who actually understands what needs to happen here, who can manage this city and lead this city. And if you are tired of Eric Adams and you do not want to go back to the days of the past of Cuomo, then my name is Michael Blake, and tomorrow begins today, and I'm asking that you rock with us. So join us on this movement right now.
I love it. All right. So before we let you go, Michael, tell us when the Democratic primary is and how people can connect with your campaign.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. Good to see you always. June 24th, primary day here in New York. Again, Blake, FORNYC.com, everybody. Blake4NYC.com. Petitions start February 25th. That's how you start getting signatures to get on the ballot. March 13th is the next fundraising deadline. And I bring that up because, as a reminder, everybody, we have ranked choice voting here in New York. but matching funds. So you need 1,000 New York City residents who can contribute. And then you have a $250,000 threshold that you have to hit as well. And so my ask for everybody, everyone, if you're willing to contribute, go to blakefornyc.com, no matter where you live around the country. But of course, New York City definitely needs you as well. But if you want to volunteer, you want to mobilize, you want to get involved with us, I'm ready to be your mayor for New York City. So join us at blakefornyc.com.
Michael
Thank
Blake,
you so much.
everybody. Thank you so much. So a couple of weeks ago, we the Black Press of America, blackpressusa.com, made a major announcement, a major acquisition. Someone that everyone knows, someone who has talk about making their mark in this business and then some. It is a complete pleasure and an honor to work with and now bring on, let it be known, the one and only April Ryan.
Hello, guys. Good morning.
Good morning. Early morning here from the West Coast.
Yes, it is. What is it? It's 8 o'clock here, so it's 5 o'clock. Oh, God
Yeah.
bless you. Yeah, it is good to see. I wish I could have said hello to Michael Blake. I remember Michael around the White House during the Obama years. So, yeah. On that note, a lot of people, a lot of New Yorkers, as you all know, are just tired of being bamboozled and hoodwinked and run amok. That's it.
Mhm.
You know, the events are surprising and shocking. It's happening in Washington. It's happening in different cities. We're seeing law enforcement I saw something this morning, some kind of truck, some kind of, what is it? A food truck owned by a Hispanic man. They're making raids just on their own without, we are shifting from democracy, from rule of law, from the Constitution, okay?
Mhm.
We're seeing something we've never seen before. And I know you guys got me on here to talk about what happened yesterday
Right.
with the journalist, the AP journalist, who was denied access to an event because of what they wrote. This is retribution, again, 2.0. I mean, I remember during the first Trump administration, Jim Acosta was pulled out of a press conference because he allegedly, they crafted, Sarah Huckabee Sanders was the press secretary at the time, they crafted some kind of video to make it look like he was hitting the young lady. He just denied letting the mic be taken from him. We are in a whole different moment. This moment is worse than the first time because second terms, you have nothing to worry about. You can do whatever you want. That's what the train of thought is. And that's where we are now. And journalists, when checks and balances, the founding fathers who were white men who owned slaves, right? When checks and balances, they put into the founding principles of our Constitution, our amendment, all of that they're checks and balances. The executive branch, the legislative branch, and the judicial branch. So here's the problem. When those branches don't check each other, that's when the press is supposed to come in to ask the questions of the highest office in the land. And then when you shut us down, it doesn't hurt us, it hurts the American people. It's about we the people. And that's what people don't understand. They're like, oh, we don't like the press. But I guarantee you, the first thing you do is tune in to find out what's going on. And more, we're hearing people very upset. One of the reasons why Elon Musk was answering questions yesterday, because people want answers. The press asked him questions about why are you going into people's private matters? What are you doing? You are creating instability in federal government jobs, okay? He answered questions. That's what the press is supposed to do. It doesn't matter whether you like the question or not. This is not apartheid South Africa, where Elon Musk grew
That's
up.
what they want.
Apartheid South Africa, think of it. They burned people in tires. The majority ruled who looked like us, but the minority took over. And it took many years. Nelson Mandela was jailed and then became president. And what people need to understand is that there are semblances of a lot of what's going on throughout history, through other things, other lands that happened in history. We can talk, I'm not going to get into where, but this is not a dictatorship. This is a democracy still. The Constitution has not been voted out. It has not been pulled away. People are upset. And let me tell you something. This is a tip of the iceberg, because if you're going into people's personal information, what next? You know, the safety and security of Social Security, the safety and security of all your payments. What happens next? You own all of this information. We already got hackers all around the world. We don't know what's happening. He was not confirmed by Congress, by the Senate. This is a Trump administration created position for a civilian who works in government, who's now in charge of everyone. And then you're trying to tell the press we can't come in because you didn't like a story. There are things that are happening that are not the norm in this country. When you start picking off the press, and this happened before, you begin a dictatorship. This is not a dictatorship. Republicans haven't said it, and neither have Democrats. This is not a dictatorship. And I understand, you know, we are human beings. We don't always get it right. But doggone it, we have a chance to go back and say, oh, we made a mistake, and correct our mistakes. But for the most part, I'm going to tell you, we as journalists work hard to get the story, get all sides of the story. And I'm getting information, I'm compiling information from a lot of different people, from the FBI, from people from different organizations, FBI, CIA, all sorts of government agencies that are very upset. And what happens if you don't like my question? You know, Donald Trump said, I was next, you know, after Jim Acosta, but the lawyers got us back in. So this is where the fight goes. The lawyers, the Associated Press, those who are advocates for the press, this is real. This is not.
April, let me jump in for a second, April, because what we are seeing also with this is that they are ignoring court's rulings so far. They're not abiding by the law at all.
Right. So this is the rule of law has been broken. It's like on the shelf. It's like, okay, whatever. But that's for them. It's hypocrisy. If we did it, we'd be in jail. So this is not a ruling class. And this is what it's become, a ruling class. This is a democracy. And when they say there was a mandate, there was not a mandate. Now, let's be clear, there was not a mandate. Democrats were upset. Democrats were upset because the things that they had voted for did not come to pass, right? Voting rights, gone, right? Affirmative action, gone. In higher education. Policing, one of the main things that got the Biden administration in the George Floyd murder. And then he promised the George Floyd Justice in Policing Act. And then one of the reasons why we got Kamala Harris as vice president is because of that transformational moment.
Right.
But the other things didn't happen. So now let's fast forward to November 5th of last year, 2024. 7 million Democrats who could have voted, who voted before, didn't vote. If this is math, this is not about the price of eggs. It's not about the price of your iPhone, because I got to get a new iPhone. It's not about the price of your car that you might need. It's the math that was mathing. Donald Trump got 3 million more people than he had before. And now a lot of those people are saying, I didn't vote for this. You got white farmers who are upset. You've got federal workers who are upset. This is something we've never known. And people got upset with me when I said the first Trump administration was an experiment. It was an experiment. We've never seen this before. This is not a business. This is a country with people from all walks of life. And a Republican told me there will be hurt. Everyone would have some kind of hurt. We'll have to take it because they're trying to make government leaner. But at what cost?
Right.
At what cost? I mean, think about the government, like here in the Baltimore area, the headquarters of Social Security is right in a community that I grew up in. There are a lot of little feeder places like laundromats, churches, car dealerships, little local restaurants that will be impacted because of the loss of people. And think of this. Now everybody's not remote. Think about this. The Navy Yard in Washington, D.C., they only have 4,400 parking spaces, and 14,000 people at least are going back to work. This was not well thought out. This
Right.
is a whole dynamic that's changing. But I'm going to tell you, we have to wait and see what happens with this fight, because this is the first salvo. AP is the wire that everyone uses, right?
Right.
They're the standard bearer. So they went after the top this time. So we have to see what happens. But remember this, they have changed now. They're calling on Breitbart. They're calling on other organizations that have they believe have larger followings. But AP is where many of us still get our news. That is a trusted news source. And it's almost like the CNN knock. Fake news, calling CNN fake news. CNN can still not get out from under that. Those words damage that country. Excuse me, that company. I'm sorry. Doing this and making a knock at the traditional standard bearers could change the whole scope of reporting and the way it looks and who we trust. So this is far
April,
for
I
the
think it,
go ahead.
I think it was important, and that's why we wanted you to come on, April, to just give you the opportunity to really tell it like it is, give us an overview because you're there. And you talked about, who voted, and we know that 92% of Black women solid, showed up for Kamala Harris. A lot of us are disgruntled and things like that. And a lot of us are concerned about you, and so I wanted you to talk to us a little bit about 2 months ago, different White House, different feeling. You're going to the press room. What's it like going back there now?
What's it like? You get sick, okay? There are seven illnesses out here right now, and I'm gonna go back wearing my mask. I don't care what anybody says, because I had the flu today. What is it? Is today Tuesday or Wednesday?
Wednesday.
Okay, forgot the days. 2 weeks ago, I was diagnosed with the flu. I'm still dealing with the effects. I'm able to move about now, but it was like I was working, Stacy knows, I was working from home. I got sick in there, but all you hear is coughing and sneezing and whatever. And then I'm wearing my mask. There are 7 different illnesses out here right now that people are getting over and over, getting reinfected with. That's what it's like covering this White House. And when you wear a mask, you're ostracized. I don't care. My body is my temple. What is it like? I'm treating it right now like I've treated all the other administrations, because I'm going into it hopeful with a different approach, understanding what I see. And what this is, I've gone in to talk to the press office, asking them. And as you know, I get not just their side, but other sides. So I want to know, I want everybody to hear both sides or all sides of the story, because it's important. And whether you like him or not, he is the leader of the free world. He is the president of the United States. And we have to find out, because it impacts us.
Right.
So I am treating this like I've treated any other, and I might have lipstick on my teeth, forgive me, but I've treated this like I'm treating any other administration. Now, what they do with it is what they do. But I'll put it this way. I'm taking care of myself in a lot of ways in case anything happens. That's all I'm going to say.
Wow.
Well,
Wow.
April, I have to ask you about this before you go, because this came up the other day. Greer brought this up the other day, and I looked. The Center for American Progress had put out this report about the Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, the SAVE Act, and it points out that this essentially is going to affect. They calculate that it could affect about 69 million women, in which it would take their rights to vote away from them. The Save Act, and how it would take it away is because of the whole ID thing. Most married women have changed their names, and the name that you have must match that on your birth certificate according to the Save Act, which
Oh
eliminates
my,
unless they change
no.
that.
Okay. So let me say this. I got married in 2023. I just changed all I'm not even getting into that because they're telling my business. But, but I mean, I have the right to vote, and I'm going to vote. Now, will there be an election? That's the question.
Right.
Because if you're Christian, oh, you're not gonna have to vote again. I'm like, well, I'm a Christian. What does that mean? So I need to be let in on some of these secrets. But they can pull this, but here's what's gonna happen. And we're seeing it now. People are starting to have salt rubbed into the wound, and they're feeling it. One of the, and I'm going back to this again, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. Elon Musk with his child, without his child, with his child on
Oh
his shoulders.
gosh.
I know. Spoke to the detractors and the angst, right? He said, oh, well, sometimes we won't get it right. You can tell us. See, that's what he says. But it's just the opposite. But here's the thing. People are upset. And it's going to take the people to make change. People have forgotten the voice that they've had in the past.
Right.
They've forgotten the blueprints that's gotten them the rights. And I'm a firm believer, after all these 28 years at that White House, when people speak with a loud noise, collectively and persistently, there's an elbow in the eye. My husband just taught me that last night. He said, don't do this because you'll break your arm. He's like, I said, okay. Yeah, I'm telling you, we went in the basement. I was like, okay. So my husband was like, you can't do this. He said, don't. I said, okay. He said,
Right.
and that will be, if there's that loud one, it'll be 2 elbows in the eye. People have got to know their power and their place. And their place is in the public square. This is still democracy. Your place is not to sit back and let them do. Your place, you are somebody who has a voice. You matter. That's your money. We have forgotten the blueprints of Dr. King, the most successful blueprints of this nation, the civil rights movement. We've forgotten what the white founding fathers said. We, the people who are still forming a more perfect union, we are going through some serious growing pains. It ain't over. It ain't over. So that's the thing. I just think that's where we are. I think people have to understand, have to really come together. People are afraid because they've never seen this before. But go ahead.
It's very scary. I know that we have to let you go, but word on the street is that there is a Black History program at the White House today.
Word on the street. Oh my God. Word on the street.
And so we want to know, did you get an invitation, or did you get an invitation? Did you hear about it? Can you give us some tips?
I broke the story on the weekend. I got the invitation. I was not invited. I got it because I made a joke. I said, hey, I said, are you sending this me to invite me? And I said, LOL. And they said, no. I said, good, because I wasn't gonna go anyway. But it was an invitation for me to do a story on. And that story has really reached a lot of people. People are calling hypocrisy. You shut down Black History Month activities and all these other spaces in the government agencies, but yet you're going to celebrate it. But then, I heard from Armstrong Williams, Black Republican media mogul, who said that the president is very much supportive of HBCUs. But the question is, what federal dollars will be pulled from HBCUs who teach African-American studies, who teach wokeness? It's a double-edged sword. So there's so much in this. So I had a university president say, I wonder if any university presidents are going to be there. I'm like, everybody's probably going to go in hiding their eyes and hiding their head. But if any reporters are worth their salt, they'll be out there taking pictures of who's going in. But I would really like to know who is invited. I don't know who's going, but I do know at 1:00 today, they're supposed to be celebrating Black history. Will be there. Frederick Douglass has done great things. I'm wondering if he'll show up. For those of you who remember, you remember. It won't.
Well,
the great Frederick Douglass.
We will see you at the press club tomorrow, weather permitting. You are on a panel on, I think it's the American Heart Association. What are you guys doing?
Yes. Yes, I am good. Yeah, I am at the National Press Club. tomorrow, if weather permitting, we'll be in person. If not, we'll be virtual. It's a big deal. It's a big deal. Black women die of heart issues. That's like the #1 cause. And once you get to a certain age, you can look cute, but your body knows your age. And you have to really start working on prevention. And I'm talking about, I'm going to probably bring in my personal stuff because, I've been changing my diet. I've been changing a lot of habits because of that exact thing. But also how media does this in this moment where we're flooding the zone. How do you put these things at the top so people can continue to be there? I mean, think about this. We're talking about what happened with the press yesterday, Elon Musk, but it was 10 days after the inauguration of Donald John Trump as the 47th president, 67 people died in a plane crash. We're forgetting everything else. As we're watching Donald Trump ban plastic straws in federal government because he doesn't like the taste of them, we're going back to plastic. We're forgetting all the other stuff.
Right.
It's flooding the zone. So we have to be strategic on what we do and what we cover. And Stacey, you and I talk about that. We and our text messages, because there's so much that impacts us. Like now, Amtrak is now DEI. They get a lot of federal money. They're anti-DEI. Amtrak. So what do you do? And there are a lot of Black folks that I know who ride that Carolina from the Carolinas on up to New York and Boston.
I'm the Excella guy.
Yeah, I'm an Excella guy too. And I like first class food. But guess what? Do I now go to the megabus or the jet? I'm a firm believer in supporting those who support you. It doesn't have to be Black. It doesn't have to be white. It doesn't have to be Asian. As long as you support me, I'm going to support you. I'm going to put my dollars there. But it makes me wonder, do I drive to New York now? Or do I catch a train? Or do I catch the bus? I don't have to put my mask on if I'm driving myself. But those who support you, and if you're anti-DEI, what if something happened on the train? Think about this. Who would they side with? Because it's anti-DEI. And the thing of it is, people don't understand the definition of DEI. DEI is not just this. Sometimes I'm not the most pigmented person, but I'm Black, okay? But what I'm saying is, it's not just this. It's not just our skin color. It's for women who are pregnant. It's for those who are disabled. See, people are okay as long as they think, they have too many rights already. The reason why there are these rollbacks, don't get in here that we've lost. We are winners. And the reason why they're rolling back everything on us is because we've won too much and we've obtained too much and they want to pull it back. That's all.
That's it. That is it. Well, April Ryan, we appreciate you jumping on this morning. The
so much.
White House Bureau 29 years, 28, 29 years, 28
in January. I'll be celebrating 29 years with Black Press USA. Yes.
We love it. We love it. And we know the other news stations only give you a little soundbite. That's why we wanted you to come on here and give you all the space you needed to let us know what we need to know.
I talk too much, but thank you. It was good. It was good.
No, not at all.
And y'all can catch her. Listen, y'all can catch her with Make It Plain too. They do something almost every day. And of course, she has her on Mondays on Instagram is Black Business Monday. Yeah. So
and my phone
check it out.
Last time, forgive me. I love my cousin Melba.
Yeah, I was watching that and I was like, "What's going on, April? What's happening here?"
I'm getting 2 new phones. I got 1 new phone now. I'm waiting for the other one. I don't know if it was hacked. I'm just saying, but it's just strange. Strange things have happened. Right. I just, I'm not getting into any of this because it's gonna get too deep. But yeah, you call me back. It's early in the morning. You call me back. I may come back.
Love it. Love it. I'm glad to be on your team.
Yeah, because you don't want to be on the other side. Because
no.
I'm from Baltimore, honey. Born and bred. It's true and real.
we'll either see you in person or online tomorrow at the press club. Yeah, I'm sure y'all let us know.
Yes, thank you guys. Be well.
All right,
Bye-bye.
take care, April Ryan, everybody. Of course, someone who needs no introduction.
That was such an
That's a-
honor, for me to watch her over the years, and to be able to be affiliated with an organization that she's a part of. That's just an honor, such an honor.
well, well, I tell you what. Somebody, yeah, I was talking about your glasses. Somebody mentioned it. I think it was Trixie who mentioned it in the chat about your glasses too. See, your glasses are the star of the show, by the way. Just want
Oh,
you to know.
wow! Thank you,
Just
thank you,
want you
thank
to know.
you. Before we go,
Yes.
you brought up the SAVE Act, and
Yes.
I think that people need to know the Equal Credit Opportunity Act of 1974. Before 1974, women had a hard time getting credit. Did you know that?
I didn't
So
know that. Doesn't surprise me.
And so it says that women had significant difficulty getting credit. Banks often required a male co-signer for credit cards, loans, and mortgages. This made it difficult for women to build credit, which limited their financial opportunities. So when you brought up like the whole last name change, this act was affected that. So I just think people need to know we're not that far removed from oppression and suppression of the past. That was just
Right.
1974.
And understand this. As much as this country has always despised Black success, this country has always been problematic toward women too. All women. Its history is steeped in um, oppressing women as well as, of course, Black folks. So, and this is why Black women and Black men too, for that matter, get upset with white women who will go against their own interests just to hurt Black men and Black women. So, when you talk about voting and stuff like that, it's really in their interests
Right.
to vote against a Trump, and vote against a somebody who wants to be a dictator. It's in their interest. And all the policies that they roll out, all their policies. You look at their policies, it's anti-women. As much as it
Right.
is anti-Black, it's anti-women as well.
Mm-hmm.
Women are, JD Vance sits there and talks about foreign women like he doesn't have a foreign wife. Trump has a foreign wife.
Right. Can we deport her?
Right. But before we go, though, we mentioned this before the show, but it was 13 years ago, yesterday, that Whitney Houston passed away. Very young age. What was she? 47, I believe. And artificial intelligence, have they gone too far? But they have provided a glimpse of what she might look like today, and includes what they put together. And I don't know if Greer has it or not, but what they put together was what they say she would look like, not only if she had lived, but if she didn't have addiction issues. And so they put together this glamorous 60 some odd year old woman who kind of looks like Whitney Houston. So, but
What's your
more than
favorite?
that,
What's your favorite Whitney Houston song?
okay, so I Have Nothing.
Okay, mine is Lover for Life.
Oh,
It's
okay.
of the I'm Your Baby Tonight album. Lover for Life, Miracle, love the Christmas album, The Preacher's Wife. I just love Whitney Houston, and that's definitely, she lives up to that that motto, gone too soon.
Yeah, so that song, I Have Nothing, there it is.
Not that looks like First Lady Whitney Houston.
That looks like First Lady Whitney Houston. Yeah, there you go.
Like the First Lady. She about to bring the announcement and call for the offering.
But Whitney, so that song, I have nothing. To me, it really shows the different ranges that she can reach. I mean, she goes up
Mm.
and down, and then she goes this way and that way, and it's everything is done to perfection, I think, in that song. And I'm not a big Whitney Houston fan,
You know
but that
another Whitney Houston song that does that? Didn't We Almost Have It All?
didn't we almost have it all? Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's really sad when we have to talk about people like Whitney in the past tense, because of
Mhm.
the talent. And then more importantly, she had a daughter who unfortunately died in a very similar fashion,
Mhm.
and that she did. And it's really sad to see people's lives get destroyed by substance. And that's I was thinking again. I know, I'm always connecting dots that probably shouldn't be connected, but when Snoop Dogg starts yelling about how Trump pardoned Harry O, his friend Harry O, and I think about the fact that Harry O sold drugs to the community. And then you think about people who, this world has lost due to drugs and drug addiction, and it's just really sad.
It is. It is. It's heartbreaking. But we have her music to continue her legacy, and we know that that's timeless.
Yeah, let me ask you a
So
question about that too. And something I often think about because I've known certain people. But when you walk into say you related to Whitney Houston, say you were her sister. You walk into a store, she's dead
okay.
now. Yeah. You walk into a store, an elevator, or get in the car, and her voice comes on, or you turn the TV on and there's a video of her. H- How do you think they might feel?
Probably in the beginning, it was hurtful and you couldn't do it. But now, you're just thankful. For me, I know, it's always hard in the beginning. But personally, I would love that because it would remind me that she was here and
Yeah.
that she made an impact and
Okay.
that people are still singing her songs. And like I said, they're timeless. She made, and that's one thing that we don't have in today's music is timeless music. A lot of the stuff that comes out, you put it on 10 years from now, it is not going to stand the test of time. But
Yeah.
Whitney Houston is going to stand the test of time. Okay. And people are
And she
going to
has.
remake her music. They're going to remake her music. And so that's the difference. Walk into Macy's department store and I'll always love you. Come on. And you just going to sing it and be thankful and have probably have a memory to that song.
Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I often wonder because I've never asked anyone who's been in that situation that question, and I often wonder. It just seems like surreal. You walk, there's your loved one on TV, but he or she is gone. There's
It
your loved one on the radio, but he or she.
It's like that old song, Precious Memories, How They Linger. You know that old hymn, Precious Memories, How They Linger in your soul. You know what I'm saying? And and
Yeah,
and, and I guess that's the gift of life, is that once you go on, the only thing you have of a person is the memories, and they flood your soul and they make you happy. And
yep,
you just thank God that they were here. So
yeah.
thank God for Whitney Houston.
Yeah, well, I mean, she was among the best ever, and her voice, many argue, was the best ever. So, we do miss Whitney and folks like Prince and Michael Jackson and others who have gone. David Bowie, you could put him in that category. I love David Bowie. Um, anyway, Greer is telling us about the flu. April mentioned the flu, and
Mhm.
she's reminding us before we go to talk about a little bit about that flu cases have skyrocketed
Right.
nationwide, and hospitals have been overwhelmed. Even schools have closed. In fact, the CDC reported that at least 24 million people have been infected with the flu this season. 310,000 hospitalizations and 13,000 deaths, including 57 children. Folks,
Well,
you got to be careful.
what we do know is that Donald Trump doesn't know how to handle a pandemic, because we remember what happened with COVID. And so we should really, like April said, put on our masks and be vigilant, because there could be something out there that is detriment to our country, and we're not going to know, because Donald Trump is not going to tell us, because he's trying to get us back in the office.
Back in the
So
exactly.
we're in a
Yeah.
world of trouble, folks. So wash your hands, pull out those hand sanitizer bottles again, put them back in your purse, your car, get your mask out, and we're just going to have to govern ourselves, because our government doesn't have the capacity right now to do it, nor do they care about us.
No, exactly. They not like us, y'all. They not like
Yeah,
us.
they not like us. And in the words of Michael Jackson, they don't really care
They
about
don't
us.
really care about us. Yeah. Yep, exactly. And finally this morning, want to get a laugh before we go out? Greer says that right wingers are pressing the NFL to have Barry Manilow perform at the next halftime show.
Okay, okay. Let me just say this. I love me some Barry Manilow. I love me some Barry. I mean, I'm all about diversity and inclusion.
But they're not.
I love Barry Manilow, but I don't know if he's the right energy. Well, I guess he has Coca Cabana. That's a little upbeat.
At the
I don't know.
Coco
Coca
Cabana.
Cabana. Hey, but
but
he
but
might not
let me
be.
tell
I
you
don't know.
something. As long as Jay-Z is in charge of the halftime show, I can't see that happening.
No, but I do see like maybe Taylor Swift or switching it up a little next year. It'll be interesting to see what Jay-Z does, because the NFL did extend his contract.
Yeah,
So
they
he
certainly
will
did.
be a part of producing the Super Bowl halftime show next year. So it'll be interesting to see if he keeps it unapologetic, because who did he have? He had Rihanna, Dr. Dre, Usher, Kendrick Lamar. So it'll be interesting to see who he chooses for next year.
You mentioned Taylor Swift, and she was booed so bad at the Super Bowl the other day. It might just be her as some sort of I feel bad about what happened last year. Jay-Z in the NFL saying, let's bring her on.
Yeah, and Donald Trump is going to be in Roger Goodell's ear.
Well, that's the other thing too, and and as he said in his own words, Trump posted in his, as he always does, in capital letters, "I hate Taylor Swift," and that's simply because she supported the vice president. She didn't do any campaigning for her, but
No,
she certainly made it clear that she was voting for Kamala Harris, which it's so sad to see somebody who is, as April pointed out, the leader of the free world, taking time out to espouse hate towards someone just simply because he didn't get that particular vote. Well, you're supposed to get all 140 million votes that were cast or whatever it was. I mean, give me a break.
right. But I didn't say thank you. I want to thank the family that commented on my glasses. Thank you so much. You can just head on over to Amazon if you want, and they're reading glasses, so you can get you a
Uh,
pair. They come in all colors.
hey, wait a minute now. Amazon is anti-DEI. You remember that?
But right now we're focused on Target. Okay, we're
That's right.
focusing.
That's
Then Dr. Jamal Bryant told us yesterday we focused on Target. We're gonna get to Amazon now. So
so
long.
so so just real quick, getting back to the whole Super Bowl and Taylor Swift thing. Number one, Orange is asking, will the Eagles visit the White House? There's a lot of vitriol between the Eagles and the White House, so
I
that's
don't
going to
see
be
it.
really interesting. I
I
don't
don't
see it
see it.
either.
I don't
I
see it.
don't.
And
And and
that's why Donald Trump wanted the Kansas City Chiefs to win, because he knew they would come.
Oh gosh, did you see the videos before the game when Trump walked onto the field and the Eagles they were doing their warm-ups and they just went out of their way to make sure that they
You mean the
tried to
Kansas
shake
City
his hand.
Chiefs?
The
You mean the
Chiefs,
Kansas City Chiefs? Yeah,
the Chiefs,
let's be
right? I'm
clear.
sorry, I did say that. Yeah, let's be real clear. They went the Kansas City Chiefs and their their other teammates, the referees, went out their way to try and shake Trump's hand. The Eagles could care less.
And they said, he was worried about Taylor Swift getting booed. There were videos out that he was booed when he hit the field as well. So he was booed too.
Yeah, yeah. The difference with him, he did get, there was some MAGA folks there who cheered him. There was a little cheers going up for him too, but Taylor got no cheers. I don't even think Travis cheered for it at that moment.
Well, no, he came out and said that broke his heart,
It broke his heart.
that she
Will the
was
relation
booed.
Greer's asking, will that relationship last?
I know Taylor wants it to last. She's tired of writing songs about breakups. She's
That's
tired
what
of
she
them
was known
songs.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. So she want to write love songs. She want to make a love album. Let them live. I think they make a cute couple.
You think
They're
so?
matched. They're matched perfectly
Let me
together.
tell
I
you
hope it
something.
works for her.
Travis fumbled the bag big time with what's her name? His ex. Good Lord. Compared to Taylor. I see. I'm speaking
Well, I
only
mean,
from
it depends
a
on.
man's point of view.
Okay,
I'm
but I'm just
speaking.
saying, even from a man's point of view, it depends on what you're comparing. Okay,
Shoot.
depends on what you're comparing. We're talking about Taylor Swift.
Yeah, I've been like between her and Taylor. I just looked at Taylor and said, "What's up, homeboy?"
You know what? Taylor has a lot to offer. And I'm not a Swiftie, folks. I'm really not a Swiftie. I could name you one Taylor Swift song, but I do respect her game.
You respect the game.
I know she got a little privilege going on, but I
Well, you know
know.
who loves some Taylor Swift is Flavor Flav. He's the biggest Swiftie out there. So
Okay.
it couldn't have been me.
Also, we have Kanye West dropped by his agency that represents him. He has been going crazy on Twitter, and he was suspended from X too. Elon Musk suspended him. Elon Musk is throwing up the Hitler sign, the Nazi sign. Nobody's checking him,
Nobody's
but
checking him.
nobody's checking him, but Kanye gets banned. So, the hypocrisy of it all. We all know Kanye is 5150. We know he says things he shouldn't say, but so does Donald Trump. So does Elon Musk. And they are way more harmful than a
They
5150 Kanye West.
I can't get over that one.
Sorry.
But Kanye, they keep showing Kanye better than they could tell Kanye that they can take his wealth from him, and they keep doing it. And Kanye gonna be just like what they showed. Who was that? Kodak Black sitting in the middle of a sidewalk eating chicken. I mean, Kanye gonna be out there just like him. It's just look. Oh my gosh, Kanye has. I do not feel anything for Kanye. I do not feel sorry for him. I don't feel anything for that waste of a human being to me. He's a waste.
Whoa, whoa,
Kanye
whoa.
is a
Of a
waste.
human being. Oh. Whoa.
I mean, when you go that far, you are now useless now. You're useless to anything. He's useless to his kids. He's useless to everybody. Because
But see, I get that. I get that. But what does that say? So is Donald Trump. So
Oh,
is
without
Elon
question.
Musk.
Without question. They are the same. They're lower than earthworms, right?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
They all fit in the same box.
Okay.
But of course, being a black man, my problem. I mean, Trump and Elon have much more of a problem with them than Kanye. Yes, let me just say
Okay.
that, right?
Okay.
But Kanye makes it worse being a black man. He makes it so much harder for us as a people, right? You can't go do what Kanye does and expect it not to feel some of that blowback as a black person. You just can't.
And the reality is he doesn't care. He
And he
does
doesn't
not
care.
care. And he wants to be provocative. He wants to push the envelope. And he may drop from a billionaire now, like he did last
Like he
time.
did the last time. Wait, we got to go. But RNG says Kanye is the poster boy for the Kardashian curse. He says, I'd rather ride with OJ to Nicole's house before I look at a Kardashian. We gotta go.
And you know
DL.
what? The Kardashians have returned too. They started their next season
Oh
last
God.
week. And speaking of curses, Chloe had Lamar Odom on. She kept a lot of his memorabilia. And some
Oh
people sold
gosh.
it. She bought it back and she had him over, Lamar Odom, and they had their heart to heart. And so, yeah, the Kardashian curse, it seems like it could be real. I don't know.
Oh
But
gosh.
speaking of curses, Lamar Odom popped up on Keep It Up with the Kardashians.
Well, speaking of curses, we better go before I get cursed out by Greer. So
All right. And you guys make sure you support the Black newspaper in your community. It is Black History Month. We are in a crisis, a constitutional crisis, and the Black press is more important than ever. And there is a Black newspaper probably in your neighborhood, in your city, in your town. So make sure you support the Black press and your Black newspaper in your community.
absolutely couldn't have said it better myself. Of course I couldn't.
Yes,
Thanks
you
for
could.
watching. Let it be known. We'll see you tomorrow.